Welcome to the Bernitha Rena Relates podcast. I am your host, Bernitha Rena. Welcome back. Listen, I am so excited for our guest today. I feel so confident that you are going to really enjoy her. She has helped transform marriages all over the world by challenging conventional relationship advice and showing women that there may be a different path to love, respect, and lasting intimacy. I am so excited to welcome the New York Times bestselling author, Laura Doyle. Laura, welcome to the podcast.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me on. I love that introduction. I'm like, let's cheer.
Yeah, like we need a toast or something now after this. I'm so excited. So, Laura, for those who are meeting you for the very first time, can you tell us a little bit about who Laura Doyle is today?
Well, today I'm a happily married woman of 37 years almost. In September, it'll be 37 years. But it was not always this way. And I started out a very unhappy wife.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also someone who's well supported in a community of other women who are all practicing the 6 intimacy skills. And there's like a worldwide movement that has been started by these 6 intimacy skills of women practicing these, learning to coach women on those skills. I'm an author, a New York Times bestselling author, as you mentioned. So there's this wonderful community that I'm a part of, that I helped create. We all are standing for not just our marriages to last, but for them to thrive and be shiny and amazing. And that's a big part of what I get up and think about every single day and what I love to do, what I'm passionate about.
It's so amazing to be able to do what you love, right? Something that brings you fulfillment and excitement. And, you know, I'm a big fan of your work because I read a lot of it. I have actually been a guest on her podcast years ago. And so I'm a fan of her work because I read her books. I am a product of many things, including the help of the Lord. But Laura Doyle's work has transform my own marriage. So that's why she's here today, because I know what she does, it works. I'm living proof of that. But before we dive all into the intimacy skills, I'd love to know more about how you came to this place, how you became really the ultimate coach of marriage. How did that happen, Laura?
It just starts with me wrecking my own marriage. Like getting married to, I thought was a terrific guy who's like smart and handsome and funny and talented. And then just seeing a few things that I thought I could improve about him and just helping him be better, just giving him little instructions on how to eat better, how to be healthier, how to be more ambitious at work. I polished his resume for him and telling him how he could be more romantic and definitely tidier around the house. And he just got very distant and I couldn't understand. He didn't seem to appreciate all this effort I was putting in to help him improve. Then it got to where we were bickering. We were very distant. I noticed he was avoiding me and it was painful. And then I said, we have to go to marriage counseling because everyone knows that's what you have to do if you can't even have a conversation without having a fight. Sometimes we wouldn't talk for days. It was just like a Cold War, very tense at my house. And so he agreed to go to marriage counseling, and we did go for over a year. And I remember I was on the marriage counselor's gray couch when I realized he's never going to change. This is really hopeless. And if I want to be in a marriage that isn't loveless, that isn't dead, really, I'm going to have to get divorced and try to find somebody better. Like I just married the wrong guy. I just made a mistake. So I decided that's what I was going to do. And then I realized actually I was too embarrassed to get divorced because people had been to the wedding just not that long before. So I didn't want to admit that I had failed. As a last-ditch effort, I started asking women who had been married for at least 15 years and seemed like they had happy marriages and said they had happy marriages for their secrets. And they said things that just were so different than anything I had read. I'd read marriage books and the things I'd learned in counseling, and certainly different than what I'd seen my parents do growing up. But my parents are divorced. So I was following a failed recipe. So they said these crazy things. They seemed crazy. And I thought, well, I'm just going to try them because I have nothing to lose. I'm just going to experiment with what they have said. And so I started doing that. And I remember not that long afterwards, I came home and John saw me and then his face lit up.
Mm.
He was happy to see me again. And that had been gone. So I thought, something is working here. And it was very exciting. I was exhilarating because I wanted to have a good marriage so bad. And now I thought, okay, now I know what to do to how to have one.
Yeah.
And and it was exciting. I thought we are not going to have those big blow ups anymore or those cold wars. And then I remember it was not that long after that we were in the car and we had another big fight. We had one of those big blow ups. I was saying horrible things. He was saying horrible things, things I knew I was going to regret. And I thought, oh, this is really bad now. This is even more disappointing because I thought this wasn't going to happen anymore. So back to this community I was referencing, right? Including you, Bernitha. I got some other women to start doing it with me.
Mhm.
They wanted help with their marriages too. So I was like, well, try this, try that. And they started reporting miracles. And someone said, can you write down what we're learning for my cousin in Florida? And we're in California. So I was like, sure, I'm going to write it all down so she knows what we're doing too. And that became my first book, The Surrendered Wife, which is now having its 25th anniversary edition. And it became a New York Times bestseller. It was published in 19 languages in 30 countries and went on to start a worldwide movement of women who practice the 6 intimacy skills. And today there are hundreds of certified relationship coaches who specialize in the 6 intimacy skills. And there's been hundreds of women coming on my podcast talking about the transformation they were able to create in their marriage by just applying these 6 simple skills. It's amazing.
It is.
I was just trying to save my own marriage. That's all I was trying to do.
That's all.
Yeah.
That is the miracle in it. And I think for so many people, when they're trying to figure out, like, how do I find my purpose? We talk about that a lot on this podcast. I usually tell people before you start figuring how to solve someone else's problem, ask yourself, what is a problem in your own life that you are struggling with, and work on mastering that. And I think that when we start to focus on how we can improve ourselves, a lot of times we will find that that same recipe, as you called it, can then turn and help other people. It's such an amazing, really organic way that you started this movement because you were just trying to save your own marriage. But I want to go back, Laura, and unpack something that you said that kind of caught me. And I know this work, it's not linear. There's going to be ups and downs in relationships. But I want to talk about that day that you came home and you saw something different in John's eye. I want to ask you, first of all, what do you think that he saw? And what were you doing differently on your end of the street?
Yeah, those are great questions. I think what he saw that was different about me was that I'm going to say pleasable.
Mm.
So I can't say for sure,
Mhm.
but I'm guessing I was smiling too when I came home. And that had been gone as well because I thought that in order for my husband to shape up and be a lot better, do so many of the things that he does all the time now, that I was going to have to let him know how unhappy I was with the way he was doing things. I thought that's how you would teach somebody to improve. So I kind of just had my frowny face on all the time, like, okay, yeah, maybe you did the dishes, but you didn't wipe off the counters, like this is not going to be acceptable. There was another aspect where I think he was trying to please me. So the way it is now, right? He makes my tea every morning. He brings me flowers. He solely does all the dishes. I never do dishes because he knows it makes his wife happy. And I think a lot of that stuff he was trying to do before, and I was not willing to receive it.
Mm.
I thought it was my job as part of being a good wife that I had to do at least some of the dishes, at least probably most of the dishes. I know that he tried to bring me flowers, and I said, oh, these are too expensive. We shouldn't waste money. They only die. Instead of thanking him for the romantic gesture and being so thoughtful, trying to delight me.
Mhm.
And I think what he saw was that I was pleasable and receptive. And what I saw was that he actually wanted to be my hero.
Wow. It's so counterintuitive because you think, our little human brains, that the way you get somebody to improve is tell them what they need to improve upon. I mean, that makes sense to me, right?
Yeah,
But
I
it
think
turns out it doesn't work at all.
no, no. And I think I heard it from experts all the time. You need to communicate your needs. You need to let them know about your deep concerns about their lack of contribution to the chores or
Mhm.
they're not affectionate enough. You got to tell everybody these complaints, these criticisms that actually they only backfired on me.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is it's really the opposite. So versus this is what I don't like. When your husband does something that you do like, you make it clear, I really, really like that, right? And then all of a sudden, you have a smile on your face, and now they have a smile on their face. It makes perfect sense.
It does completely. Yeah. I'm always trying to catch them doing something good.
Catch him doing something good. Ooh, that's good. That works for kids too, I bet. I love that. And if you don't mind me sharing, Laura, because I've, you know, done lots of things. Okay. I'm not afraid to say I've been like in 20 years of all kinds of counselings, right? Personal development counseling, marriage counseling, all the things. And all I heard was basically this thing is kind of like hopeless. It's there nothing you can do about it. And I look now at where my marriage is. And I'm like, this guy, this great guy, it's shocking to
It
think about
is.
it now. It really is shocking. And really, all it took for me was working on myself. That's the biggest one, but a reshift in my mind. For example, one of the things that I don't like to do, Laura, I don't like to clean the oven, or I guess it's a stove top or something. But they have these little grates. And when you cook, which I love to cook, but when you cook, all the stuff falls inside the little grates. And I cannot stand to clean that at all. So I used to say, I really hate cleaning the stove. Why do I have to clean the stove? I've cooked a whole meal and now I have to clean this grease and crumbs off the stove.
So
Well,
unfair.
yeah, it's so unfair, right, Laura? One day, my husband was cleaning the stove. He likes cleaning the stove. He likes cleaning the kitchen, actually. He puts on his music and he starts cleaning. He's dancing. He's enjoying it. I came in one day, Laura, and he was cleaning the stove. And I was like, I love that you clean the stove top for me. This makes me so happy because I don't like cleaning the stovetop. Now, Laura, he cleans the stovetop all the time. And he's waiting on that compliment. He starts to say, like, I know how much you don't like cleaning the stovetop, and I gotta give it to him. Thank you for cleaning the stovetop because I really hate to clean it. It makes so much sense. The principles that you're teaching, helping women. And I think also what I found in my own relationship is that people want to be built up, not torn down.
Sure.
So, yeah. And so that's one of the things that I love about all that you're doing. One of the things that I hear women say all the time in your community that they feel happier and their husbands feel happier because they're being built up. To me, and I could be wrong, you correct me if I'm wrong. That sounds like one of the foundational principles of all that you're doing, of your skills, really.
Absolutely. Certainly one of the intimacy skills is like counting your blessings instead of counting the curses, right? It's like focusing on all the good that you have. That has made a big difference. I love like what you were saying about how people have told you this marriage was hopeless. You would have thrown all that out, right? If you'd listened to them. I can just hear how much he loves being your hero by cleaning that stove, right? He's like, oh, Bernitha's gonna like this. I can't wait to go clean that stove and get his little cookie, right? Of you going, oh yeah, this makes me so happy that you cleaned this stove. I really hear how much you are happy to bring that gratitude to him when he does, right? It doesn't hurt, right? But I remember having a very hard time
Mhm.
actually getting willing to be grateful because I was pretty committed to my misery. And there were just so many things he was doing wrong, I thought, that it felt like I was just leaving reality to start looking at the things he was doing right. Like, okay, so fine, he made me a cup of tea, but I need him to start cleaning up around here, or
Yeah.
right. And I would kind of overlook those things. And you talk about also like having a new perspective, and that's what happened here too. I just think it's amazing how my husband went back to being my hero
Yeah.
when I started looking at the ways he was showing up like a hero.
Like a hero. Laura, what do you say to the woman who says, okay, I understand what you're saying. Look at the positive, but are you telling me that I'm supposed to ignore all that he's doing wrong? Like, realistically, what do you say to the woman who says, is this manipulation?
Oh yeah, that was something I felt as well. Like
Mhm.
I'm saying all these things that I don't really even mean. So that feels fake and doesn't seem like I'm ever going to be able to really have an intimate relationship if I'm not being what I called honest, right? But what I meant by honest was critical. Like if I can't be critical, how are we ever going to, connect?
Mhm.
I think one of the wonderful things about the skills is it actually has brought me closer to being my best authentic self, I guess I would say, than I ever was before. So, well, for example, I didn't want to appear selfish. So I used to not want to say when I desired something. I
Okay.
would just try to squish that down, but I would still feel that I desired it. And so I would try to put it on John. Like I would say things like, well, we need new curtains, right? And John just was not responsive to this at all because first of all, I don't think he even knows about curtains. Like he doesn't care about curtains, right? At all. And so when I was saying we need, that's like saying you and I have a necessity for this thing that I want. So I got no reaction from that.
Mhm.
But when I finally started saying, actually, I would love new curtains,
Mhm.
all of a sudden, like curtains came into his realm of understanding and awareness. And he would be like, oh, yeah, okay, well, what kind of curtains do you want? Or where do we get these curtains? And all of a sudden, I could see that he was a lot more motivated towards the things that I wanted. And I really learned that lesson the hard way on a trip to Hawaii before we even were married. Speaking of being manipulative. So he was taking me on this romantic getaway to Hawaii. And I was thinking, oh, good, we're going to go to the beach. Because why would you go to Hawaii if you're not going to go to the beach? Of course, you go to the beach. But then instead of saying that I would love to go to the beach, I said, well, what did you want to do today? Because I didn't want to have conflict. And I wanted things to be fair and I wanted to be not selfish.
Mhm.
And so he said, well, how about if we go see a volcano? Like, I'd love to go see a volcano. I was like, oh gosh, okay. That doesn't sound fun at all. And now I'm not going to get to go to the beach because we're going to spend all this time driving to the volcano. But I just kind of suck it up because I think, well, I just don't want to have a fight about this. So we're driving in the car and he can tell something is kind of not quite right because I'm fuming because I'm thinking he didn't even ask me what I wanted to do. I asked him, but he didn't ask me.
Mhm.
And then he said, is something wrong? Is everything okay? And that's when I let him have it. I just said, did you think this would be fun? Because I don't think it's fun at all. I think this is really stupid. We're just driving around in the car and I wanted to go to the beach and you didn't even think about going to the beach. Why come to Hawaii if you're not going to go to the beach? I just
Yeah.
went off on this rant. And poor guy, like all he knew is he took me to Hawaii.
Like,
And
what is this where's this coming from?
where's this coming from? So I wanted him to be responsible for my desires, right? I wanted him to say, where did you want to go? Did you want to go to the beach? And I could just say yes. And I wouldn't have to go through that uncomfortable feeling of desiring something myself, which I don't know why that felt so uncomfortable. But anyway, as soon as he found out that's what I really wanted to do, he turned the car around and we went to the beach. But I couldn't enjoy it because
Right.
I had that emotional hangover from having that rant. And so I kind of just feel sad for my previous younger self who just didn't know anything about how to say what she wanted. And if you can't say what you want, you're never going to get what you want. And that's when you become manipulative.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. It's biblical too. Ask and you shall receive. So, Laura, we always like to give our viewers added value, right? Because we appreciate them listening. And I think it's so important and so valuable that they go and get all your books. I've read every single one of them. They're all on my bookshelf. And by the way, I give them to people anytime we have like an engagement party or bridal shower. I've gifted pretty much every single girlfriend of mine, the surrendered single, but I always tell them, like, this is just between us girls, right? But for those who are listening and they want in on our little bit of a girl secret, can you give us at a high level some intimacy skills that would help people today if they use them?
Yeah, I would love to. This is what I live for. This is my mission in life, right? I want every woman to get the intimacy skills, whether it's through a book or through the podcast or one of the coaching programs. So because I was just talking about this tragic volcano story, right? Where my husband saw a volcano, not the kind that he thought he was going to see. Um, I would love to just walk everybody through what I do now, which is expressing my desires in a way that inspires. And I just feel like every woman needs to know this because it's so powerful. Desire, I feel, is it's like the seat of feminine power. So we are never more powerful than when we know what we want and we are owning it. We are expressing it, saying it out loud. Maybe not in a demanding way, not in an attached way, but I know one of my coaches she loves to say, like, I would love a pony, almost like a kid, right? Like just from the joy of it.
Yeah.
And so the formula that I use for expressing my desires now is I would love, that's how it starts out. I would love, and then you just fill in the final outcome.
Mhm.
And so the final outcome could be a cup of coffee, it could be another baby, it could be a bigger house, it could be a car, it could be a new dress, it could be anything that you want to have.
Mhm.
But the magic of this is to just stick with that final outcome
Mhm.
and not get into the how, which I used to also do, very controlling. I used to say things like, I want a new dress.
Mhm.
Which isn't quite the formula. And then I would say, and there's a blue one in the window at Macy's, and I'm size 8, but it's going on sale. Don't buy it till next week because it's going on sale. And here's a coupon for it or whatever. Instead of letting him be my hero and him having his own ideas and contributing to my happiness, he was more like my employee or my little errand boy. And then he wasn't motivated at all. Like write this down. If you're listening and you want to start practicing intimacy skills, this is a great one to start with. I would love, and then just the final outcome. And by the way, this is not the right intimacy skill to use. I want to make sure I make this clear. If you want his affection or his time or his attention, because let me just tell you, I used to say, I need you to be more affectionate or I need you to, initiate intimacy more often. And it just felt terrible to have to say that because then it made it really obvious he didn't want I wanted him to want to be affectionate.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have to tell him. And every time I told him, and then even if he would give me a hug or something, I think, well, he's just doing that because I told him.
Mhm.
And I just wanted to feel desired. So
Yeah.
I don't recommend using this phrase for those. The other intimacy skills are going to make you so magnetic. You won't have to ask once you've got the intimacy skills on board. But for everything else that you want, and if you're anything like me, you want a lot of things, right? Women,
Yeah.
we want a lot of things. And so it's great to know how to express your desires in a way that's going to inspire him and give him the chance to be your hero.
Love it. And by the way, I would love to have a baby. It totally works because I wanted to have a baby for so long, and my husband did not want to have a baby. And now the baby still hadn't came yet, but he's on board because one day, out of nowhere, I just said, I would love to have a baby. And he just said, okay. All my reasons why we needed another baby, it fell on deaf ears. The minute I said, I would love another baby, he was like, okay. And that was it.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Isn't that interesting?
This is the same guy that was saying, no, nope, I don't want one. No.
Every reason why that it wouldn't work. And then he was like, okay. I was like, what? So I just want to let you know it actually works. The baby hadn't come yet, but he's definitely on board.
Yeah, we've got a hero waiting to give you another baby.
Absolutely.
So exciting.
So I
sweet.
heard that. That's a wonderful intimacy skill. Give us some
Yeah.
others.
Sure. Okay. So for me, I've had a lot of what I call needless emotional turmoil that would come up on kind of a regular basis.
Mhm.
And my needless emotional turmoil, I feel like we've all got our own little brand of, it's almost like malware that just comes in and takes over your brain. And then it's just like, it feels familiar. Mine was that we didn't have enough money and we'd never have enough. And that I would always have to do dreadful work that I hated and scrimp, also scrimp while I was doing this dreadful work. And I wanted my husband to save me from this somehow. And the way he was going to be able to save me is he was going to have to make more money. So I started saying, see if you can get a raise, or why don't you make more money, or why don't you try to get a better job?
Mhm.
And of course, what he heard was, you don't make enough money.
Mhm.
And I have to be careful with where I put my intentions, right? Because it turns out I'm pretty powerful when I say something like that. And if I'm saying you don't make enough money to him, well, he ended up quitting his job. He wasn't making any money. So
Mhm.
I just was having all this needless emotional turmoil that, it was all in me. I was the only person supporting our family and making money. And I found this incredibly stressful. And it was like I had a subscription to Fear of Financial Insecurity daily, and I would read it like many times a day. And so one of the things I finally landed on was that I could treat that feeling, that creeping, needless emotional turmoil feeling, as it was coming on. I started to treat it like an emergency, like "Rah, rah, rah," get out of the house or whatever, like it's a fire alarm, smoke detector. Because when I was investing that much like passion, let's say, into focusing on this experience I didn't want to have, where we were
Mhm.
broke and couldn't pay our bills, or whatever the consequences were going to be, I just felt like that was a very dangerous state. So instead of just letting that malware run, then I started doing, I call it a drop and do 10, which is not push-ups, thankfully, because I probably couldn't have stuck to that. I started doing a gratitude list for the things that I had that proved that I actually was very well provided for. So I would say to myself, like, well, actually, I have gas in the car, and I have $20 in my purse in cash, and there's some food in the fridge. And then I got to this eye cream, and I had this really expensive eye cream, like maybe paid a little more than I should have with this eye cream. And I was like, I even have some of that really expensive eye cream. I'm like, okay, actually, I have everything I need, maybe more, a little more than what I need. If I could just change my focus to the 10 things, and by the time I got to 10, I would feel calmer. I would see the world a little differently. And I could see my husband a little differently too. Instead of like, oh my gosh, he's not earning enough money. I could start to see the ways that he actually was providing very well for me.
Mhm.
And in fact, out of that, I created a spouse fulfilling prophecy for him. I started saying, you have always been a good provider, which was kind of the opposite of what the malware was telling me.
Mhm.
But it seemed true because he'd had a good job when I met him. And, he'd always been a good provider. And I could find evidence for it. And so I started saying that to him and to myself, like, my husband's a good provider. And I'd say to him, you've always been such a good provider. And then for fun, I just started calling him Mr. Moneybags too. I'd say, oh, look at Mr. Moneybags.
Mhm.
Just got a check in the mail. Well, around that time, he started his own business. He started a video company that served lawyers. And he had it for like 20 years. He's retired from it now, but it was very successful. It was more successful than he'd ever been at
Mhm.
these other jobs where I was trying to tell him to ask for a raise.
Wow.
so, so what did I know about? So yeah, so actually, there's a couple of skills under the gratitude there that I just want to kind of highlight for anybody who's listening. So one is obviously the drop into 10, like maybe figuring out what your negative malware is telling you, and then figure out some evidence that proves the opposite, and get to 10 with those. And the other thing, whatever your complaint is about your husband, you
Mhm.
can also flip that upside down, just flip it all the way upside down,
Mhm.
and look for evidence that that is true as well.
Love that. So I'm so grateful that he always cleans the kitchen. Even though it may not be the way I clean it, I'm so grateful that he does it and I don't have to do it. That's an
Yeah,
example.
absolutely. That's beautiful gratitude. I think a big fear I had
Okay.
early on with the skills was that I was going to have to just like kind of suck it up and just accept, like, okay, he's never going to wipe the counters or whatever.
Okay. Okay.
Like, okay, clean. It's not that good though. So I might have had in that one, and I did have this spouse fulfilling prophecy that was unwitting, which is that my husband's a slob. He does not clean up after himself. He doesn't do his part of the chores. And, so the flip is, like, my husband keeps the house so tidy, or my husband's really tidy. That would be the
Yeah.
flip. I didn't do this intentionally, but anyway, that is true. Like, now my husband does do the dishes every day, and he makes the bed every day. He puts away all the laundry. He does more than I do.
So it's like
Eh,
taking it all the way to the extreme.
all the
Not
way,
just
all the way.
he cleans pretty good, but you're just like he's really tidy.
You know what I like too about your example that's great, and you're skilled. I can see your gratitude. Your gratitude just emanates off of you, Bernitha. Like, you just look all joyful and happy, so I can tell you're a very grateful girl. So, and I think that's an important part to do, to, like, pull out the negative. What is the complaint about your husband? And I just only allow, like, 10 seconds for that because we don't wanna focus on the complaint.
Right.
But maybe it's a little bit like he's just not that meticulous maybe about cleaning, or is that right? How would you say it?
I would that's fair. Not as
Okay.
meticulous as myself, I would say.
Yeah, he's not as meticulous as me, and that's just
Okay.
feels like that's the truth, right? That's just the
Mhm.
truth.
Mhm.
And then your, magic wand scenario, oh, I happen to have one with me, might as well.
Look at that.
1, 2, 3, boop. Okay. So your magic wand scenario would be what? That he would clean that stovetop to just within an inch of its life, so it would just be sparkling like
Which she does, but then take it to the next level
okay,
and do the
okay.
whole kitchen.
Oh, you want the whole
Whole
oh,
kitchen.
this is exciting. This is
And the
exciting.
pantry. Let's
And
just
the pantry.
let's go crazy.
Let's just go crazy. Let's just
Let's
do
get
it.
the
Okay,
pantry
okay,
going
okay,
again.
okay. All right. So if I wanted my husband to clean the whole kitchen and the pantry,
Yeah.
so it sounds like you are happy with the way he cleans the stove. Is that fair to say?
Love it.
Love
Appreciate it
it.
so much. Yeah.
Okay. And I heard you're great about following up and saying, like,
Thank you.
thank you, thank you.
Yes.
So now, and he loves to be your hero.
Yes.
I wonder if he knows how it makes you feel when he cleans the stove.
Mm. Okay. So something like, I feel so relieved that, well, if I say I don't have to do that, that's kind of negative, right? So maybe I feel so relieved that you have done all of this for me. This is totally off my plate. Thank you so very much. Big hug and a kiss kind of thing. What do you think?
That's pretty great. I think that's pretty great. And relieved is a great feeling. That's a great feeling to
Mhm.
feel relieved.
Mhm.
My husband is highly motivated by my happiness.
Okay.
So, is it fair to say that you also feel happy?
Yes, and my husband too. He lives to make me happy. Okay.
He does. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, if it's true for you, thank you so much. I feel so happy to have this clean stove. Of course, it comes back to that gratitude. But then I also hear just a pure desire with no expectations, no attachment, that you would also love to have a clean kitchen.
Now, did you think that's kind of maybe making him feel like he didn't do enough? Can I say it in the same sentence? For example, I am so happy that you cleaned the stove. It looks so beautiful and shiny. I would also love for you to do the pantry as well next time. Does that seem a little like ungrateful? Tell me.
I think so. I think so. Yes, I agree with you. It does. You're right. Because there's like almost like a little hidden complaint, right? Like,
Mhm.
that's great that you did that. But also, right, there's like a but kind of in there implied. So I agree that probably wouldn't be the right timing to do it. But maybe if you're tired one night, your kitchen's destroyed, like my kitchen is sometimes, and you just say, I would just love a clean kitchen and pantry. And that's it.
Love it.
That's it.
Yeah. Just a desire, putting it out there.
Just putting it out there. Or another way, this is something I say. I still say this almost every day. It's so silly, but we just kind of have a game about it. Like I'll say, like I'll go out to the kitchen and it's all spotless, and I'll just go, "Oh my gosh, who cleaned this kitchen? This kitchen is ridiculously clean. Who has done this? Like someone broke into our house and they've cleaned this kitchen, and I am just ridiculously happy about this.
That's so cute.
It's just
I love
playful, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's so playful because that's one of your skills. Tell us about that playfulness.
being the girl of fun and light.
Yeah.
So, right? I mean, that is who our husbands fell in love with. That's how my husband fell in love with, right? We lived next door to each other. That's how we met because he lived into the apartment next to my apartment when I was in college. And he said that he could hear me laughing through the walls. This is big, boisterous laugh. I have a really loud laugh. He said, like, he was halfway in love with me before we even met because he could hear that. He could hear the laugh. So I know. But after we were married, I got so serious. I was like, this is real life now. This is not like, yeah, it's nice you play guitar and sing to me, write me songs. That's great. But this is real life. We got to pay the mortgage. We got to clean the house. Like,
Yeah.
we got to keep up the cars. I don't know. I forgot that I love to laugh. I forgot who I was. And this is something I love to say to all my clients too. It's like, I'm going to tell you who you are right now. You're the girl of fun and light. And yeah, I'm calling you a girl, even though you're well over 12, because I think every woman has a just want to have fun girl in her.
Yeah.
And your husband wants to see her. So if you can get yourself happy, I mean, in some ways, like he's always trying to make me happy,
Mhm.
but really it's my job. And that was kind of a shock. I didn't realize
Yeah.
it's my job to make myself happy. I can't
Such
really
a
do it.
beautiful statement. It's my job to make myself happy. I'll say for myself, my husband seeing me happy is like a residual. Really, the thing that has been the most wonderful thing is that I took the time to say to myself, what makes me happy? Right. And I think we all, as women, as human beings, we need to just do that. What would make me happy right now? What do I need? Do I need a nap? Do I need a bath? What is it that I need to take care of myself? Nobody can make you happy if you're just so miserable and tired. There's nothing anybody can do to make you happy if you have no idea what it takes to make yourself happy.
Really well said. That's right. So that's the foundational intimacy skill. Only happy people have happy relationships. So if you're not
Mhm.
happy, and I thought, well, of course I'm not happy because of my husband. He's not making me happy. But he couldn't. He was trying. And I was not receptive and I was not pleasable. I was committed to that frowny face. And then when I started remembering the things that I like to do, like I love to play volleyball on the beach. I love to watch my favorite show. Right now I'm really into All Creatures Great and Small. I'm just loving that show. And I love I
Ooh.
it's a good one. And
Yeah.
then I love me some retail therapy. I like to just go and shop for things that I really don't even need, but they just kind of delight me, or cat videos. In fact, sometimes I think the more frivolous, the better.
Yeah, I love that. Give us one more skill just for
Sure.
a bonus.
Sure. Okay. I think for some women, if they're like me, they hear about these skills and they think, well, that's nice if you have like a regular husband. But my husband, none of this is going to work.
Mhm.
And it's because he's maybe said something hurtful
Mhm.
to her and maybe a lot of hurt has happened. Right. And that I know that was true at my house too. Like that there was just a big layer of pain to kind of recover from. And so, one of the skills that I'm just really enjoying right now is listening for a heart message. And so, the way that that works is so this happened actually not too long ago. We were watching a comedian because I love to laugh. And we were just like screaming laughing. We thought it was so funny. And at one point, the comedian said, "My wife's a talker. She loves to laugh, whatever." And I'm like, ah, I forget what the joke was, but it's just like I was laughing
Uh-huh.
really hard. And then a few minutes later, we're getting ready for bed. And John looks over at me and he goes, "I married a talker. My wife's a talker." And I was like, huh, like,
And it
ouch.
was funny all of a sudden,
It was
okay.
not that funny at all because I think he was trying to tell me I talk too much after, 37 years of marriage. He's like, and I thought, so I wanted to just defend myself. I wanted to say, first of all, I do not talk too much. Okay. I don't talk too little either, but I talk just the right amount, actually. And so, but I thought to myself, no, you know what? What is his heart message? Here's the bedrock that I know. My husband married me because he wanted to succeed and make me happy. He never intends to hurt me. He never intends to hurt me. So what could he really have meant?
Mhm.
So I had to think about it for a second. I'm like, he just said I talk too much. And I thought, maybe it's not that. Like, what else could it be? And then I thought, the comedian said it. Now he's saying it. And then I go, did you just say that because to make me laugh? And he goes, yeah. I was like, oh. And I thought for a minute you were saying I talk too much. He was like, no, no. We were just laughing. It was funny before, when the comedian was saying it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. And so no intimacy was lost. Like I could hear my husband's heart.
Yeah.
He knows I love to laugh. And we kissed goodnight, went to sleep peacefully instead of like staying up all night arguing about how much talking is the right amount.
Yeah, because like you said before, he absolutely loves your life. He fell in love with it through the wall. So he's just trying to make a joke.
Exactly.
Good. It requires, I think, like a pause, Laura, to
It does.
say,
It
Okay,
does.
what could this mean without that quick reaction? That's what I'm working on. My tongue is my biggest
Right?
thing I
Well,
should.
I think all of us, it's and, one of my coaches had a great story about this. She and her husband went out to dinner, and he'd been drinking already, and he was talking about their friend, and he said, "Yeah, he's got some health challenges because he's too sedentary because he sits for work all day." And he goes, just like you." And she was like, "Well, yeah, I don't have health problems because I sit too much, right?" She's same as me, like, "What did he just say? I can't believe he would just say that." And she started to argue with him, and in the past, she would have thought, "Okay, whatever, he's just drunk. I'm just gonna ignore it. What he says doesn't matter right now." He could see her starting to be defensive. He goes, "I know you're thinking, oh, he's just drunk. I don't have to listen. It's not important what he's saying." And she stopped herself right then. She was able to stop herself, and she said, "No, what I was thinking is that the reason you're saying that is because I'm so dear to you. You care about my health so much, and you want me to be healthy." And he just dropped all that defense, and he just said, "Yes, that is exactly right. I don't tell you enough how important you are to me, and I want you to be healthy."
Yeah.
So, they also had a wonderful intimate connection right there where there could have been a big breakdown instead by listening for the heart message.
Yeah. What do you say, Laura? Because all that you've shared, your skills, and again, I know for myself because I've personally used them, it requires a great deal of vulnerability, right? I mean, you have to be willing to ask for something and know you may or may not get it. You have to be willing to listen for the heart message. You have to be willing to say you're sorry. We didn't dive all into that, but I know that's a part of it, and you really have to be willing to share your heart to someone. For those who are just like, I don't want to do that. I don't know what my husband's going to do or say if I'm that vulnerable with him. What would you say to that
Yeah.
wife, that girlfriend?
Well, it's understandable, right? If you don't feel safe, it takes a lot of courage to be vulnerable. And I guess I say for me, it's same. I've just had so many moments of realizing, like, oh, well, no wonder I didn't want to, you know, do these intimacy skills. They seem so crazy to me because there is a risk. You are risking your heart. And when you run through that waterfall of fear and find out what's on the other side, you don't know what you're running into.
Mhm.
But now having chosen that vulnerability, um, and experienced really just feeling so loved just the way I am, it's impossible to think about not having that. It's like it's been worth the risk.
Worth the
And it is a risk. And it's a risk, I kind of wish for everyone to experience because when you are vulnerable,
Mhm.
you invoke a sacred trust.
Mm.
It's sort of like I don't know, if you found a lost child or a lost puppy or something, right? Like, you take so much care. You feel a responsibility to help, to protect.
Mhm.
And I've just found that is so true with my husband too. He came home one night and I was watching a movie that makes me cry, The King's Speech. Always makes me cry. And I thought
Yeah.
I was gonna the only one be home. And but I wasn't. And I was sitting in the dark, just doing the ugly cry, just oh, and, he came home and said, "Oh, hi. Hi, cutie." And he still couldn't see me because I was sitting in the dark, and then I thought, "I'm not gonna answer because he's gonna hear it." So I was just quiet, and he's like, "Are you okay?" I was just trying to, like, keep that guard up a little bit too. And then finally I answered him, and anyway, he could not keep himself from just coming over and hugging me and comforting me, and that's the response that I find vulnerability elicits
Mhm.
in husbands.
Yeah, I love it, Laura. One of the things that I relate to you so much on is every time I meet someone who they've been married for a long time, the first thing that I ask them is, "What's your secret?" Right? And to me, what I hear when you talk about how you start to uncover the skills and all of that was you went to people who were successful. And the reason why I think that's important is because I want to encourage someone right now to know that the things that we're talking about, it's not pie in the sky. This is from her talking to people really to develop the skills, number one. Number two, women who have been successful and saved their marriages and all of that through using these skills. So even though, yes, it is a risk to have this level of vulnerability, like Laura said, I think that it's worth the risk. It's not just any kind of risk. It's like an educated risk. It's like the best gamble you can make because it's been proven, right? This is from people who have had successful marriages is where the skills come from. And it's been proven by people who have used them in their own marriages. So I just want to encourage people who are going out to get your books, to get your literature, who are listening to your podcast or will start listening to your podcast to know that it's just not pie in the sky. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Who would think that actual happy wives would know what works, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Laura, for all the people who have heard what you had to say today and they want to reach out to you, they want to get your books, where can they go to learn more about your intimacy skills?
Well, I think they should go grab the Adored Wife Roadmap. It's a free roadmap that lists out the 6 skills that you can take to make your marriage more playful and passionate. And give some other little tips about the common mistakes I see women making, the ones that I was making, trying to get my husband to be more affectionate. And then you get some other goodies after you sign up for that as well. So check your inbox, and you can get that at adoredwife.com.
Okay. Well, we'll have all the information in our show notes so you won't miss a thing. Laura, what is next for you? You've done so much. What's up next?
Well, I will tell you, I am really excited about this new project where I'm going to be able to invite women to be part of our community and do experiments on their marriages. We have 22 experiments. So each of these things that we've talked about, there's 6 intimacy skills, but there's these cheap phrases that we use, right? Like, I would love, and find out if they work for you.
Mhm.
And, sometimes they're a little tricky. When you first start, you think, oh my gosh, that's not the right reaction. I said I would love something and he didn't hear me or whatever, right? Sometimes it just doesn't go right.
Uh-huh.
And so sometimes you just need a little tweak, and being part of a community is a great way to be able to see where that might have gone wrong. So it's all going to be in an app that's coming very soon. And I just could not be more excited. I've spent, the last 27 years trying to explain them and what I've learned, like wrote books and programs and trained coaches. And now all the experiments are going to be right in an app.
That is so interesting. I cannot wait to download the app. I'm going to make some room in my phone right now so that when it comes out, I'll be the first one to be able to download it. So exciting, Laura. Thank you for sharing that. I want to give you an opportunity to give us some final last words. Leave some wisdom for the people.
Well, I guess if I just think about where I am and where I've come from, with that struggling marriage, that very painful struggling marriage, I guess the thing that I want to say, because you hear so many people saying, just leave him, like what you heard, Bernitha. And I guess I can't recommend marriage highly enough. When you have the skills and you know how to make it playful and passionate and amazing, it really is all that it's cracked up to be. And I wouldn't be my best self if I hadn't had this husband mirror kind of reflecting back to me some things about the way I was showing up. And so I just want to encourage every woman, it's possible to not just get your stove cleaned, but the whole kitchen and the pantry, and to have the dreamy marriage. And I'm not giving up until everybody gets that.
Love it. Oh my goodness. Well, listen, I'm right there with you. This has been amazing. Thank you so very much for being a guest on the Bernitha Rena Relates podcast. We really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me on. It's been wonderful.
You're so welcome. Take care. Bye, guys. Love you, Laura. Bye-bye. Bye. Hey, beautiful people. Bernitha here. If you're loving the conversations, there's so much more waiting for you at Bernitha Rena Relates podcast.com, where you can join our online community for daily inspiration and updates. And be sure to scan the QR code below so you can follow me on Instagram at @Bernitha Rena Relates and on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok at Bernitha Rena Relates. While you're at it, go ahead and like, subscribe, and share this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you so much for listening. We love you for it. We'll talk soon.
What's been done is done again. Same old story, different trying to learn from what life takes. Let's contemplate